Civil engineers have a long and proud history, going back before World War II. And looking back over the years, we should remember the thousands of people who went before us to help shape our proud heritage and give us a promising future.
My name is Captain John Riley. I am an air installation officer serving in the brand new United States Air Force. Although I am new to the Air Force, I have been doing engineering work supporting the Army Air Forces for a number of years. I was a member of an aviation engineer battalion during World War II, just one of about 125,000 aviation engineers who served around the world. We did some amazing work. In England, we constructed the heavy bomber bases which enabled 8th Air Force to bomb the enemy. In the Mediterranean theater, we fought battles against General Mudd to construct airfields. In the Pacific, aviation engineers turned islands into airfields for the giant B-29s. And in the Far East, we built runways in the middle jungles. We even had airborne aviation engineers who flew in gliders to forward locations to begin building airfields, sometimes behind enemy lines. We used runway materials like pierced steel plank, Hessian matting, dirt, crushed rock, and when we could get it, even concrete. I was one of the first aviation engineers to land in Normandy. During the next 11 months, we built or repaired almost 250 airfields. I was proud in what we accomplished to win the war, and I was also anxious to get back home. In '47, when the Air Force was created, I decided to switch from the Army because I believed in the importance of the new Air Force mission and the new technology that was being used. There have been a lot of changes over the past few years, but I'm sure things will calm down for a while. My name is Captain John Riley, and I am an air installation officer in the new United States Air Force.
Hello, baby. Yeah, this is the Big Bopper speaking.
My name is Master Sergeant Mike Mason. I am a superintendent of a base civil engineering squadron. That's a new name for us. In 1959, they changed our name from Installation Engineer Squadrons to Base Civil Engineering Squadrons. They said it was because Major General Gus Minton wanted to recognize the professionalism of the career field. This decade has been a busy one for the Air Force. It began with action on the Korean Peninsula. I deployed to a base there just a few weeks after the U.S. got involved. We had a lot of problems because of shortage of bases and a limited capability to build new ones. The Army was supposed to support us with their SCARWAF units. That stood for Special Category Army Personnel with Air Force. But they were undermanned and poorly equipped. My base level unit tried to keep up operations at our site, but between the cold weather and the North Koreans and Chinese, it was a tough job. Like most engineers though, we made do. We eventually established 55 bases to support the mission in Korea. They even tried out a new capability when they set up aircraft arresting systems at our base. Within the first few days, several aircraft and pilots were saved. The Air Force also began working on some exciting new engineering projects during this decade. We developed new radar sites above the Arctic Circle and are building new ballistic missile sites. I can't imagine what a complicated job that is. We are also finishing up construction of the new Air Force Academy in Colorado. It is an amazing site. I really hope my son, Mike Jr., can attend there someday. My name is Master Sergeant Mike Mason, and I am a civil engineer.
It's been a hard day's night.
I am Major Adam Jones, and I am a horseman, a member of the Red Horse Unit. In the early 1960s, civil engineers were not ready to respond to contingencies, so they developed a program called Prime Beef in 1964. It was pretty successful, and soon teams were deploying to Vietnam to build aircraft revetments and do other work. But the requirements in Southeast Asia were so great that something else was needed. That is when Red Horse came along. I was part of the 554th Civil Engineer Squadron, heavy repair, but everyone just called us Red Horse. The 554th and the 555th were two of the first Red Horse squadrons. These units were established in 1965. I, along with about 800 others, were handpicked to serve.
Go! Go! Can we move any slower?
After some rigorous training at Cannon Air Force Base, New Mexico, we shipped out to Vietnam in early '66. Our first big job was to repair an AM-2 runway at Phan Rang. It was a mess, but we immediately got to work and fixed it up. The triple nickel went to Cam Ranh Bay to begin building housing, installing utilities, and repairing runways. We were so successful that soon other squadrons followed. The 556 went to Thailand, the 819th went to Phuket, where it almost completely built the base. The 823rd operated at a Bien Hoa Air Base and worked on sites throughout the country. The 820th went to Tuy Hoa and helped build the base there. Tuy Hoa was an interesting project, the one base that the Air Force had sole responsibility to construct during the Vietnam War. It was on a tight schedule, but we came through thanks to the innovative methods and teamwork between the 820th and the contractors. I'm proud of the changes within CE during the 60s. I just hope that programs like Prime Beef and Red Horse stick around. I am Major Adam Jones, and I am a horseman.
That I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know.
I am Master Sergeant Janet Price. I received your Any Service Member letter, and I'm writing you while I wait to get on the plane to return home from Saudi Arabia after Operation Desert Storm. I am a civil engineer, one of the dirt boys. My unit has been here in the desert for about 7 months and been very busy. When we first arrived, there wasn't much here. We started grading roads and preparing to build tents, air-conditioned tents, to set up operations. CE's accomplished a lot here in Southwest Asia. We bedded down about 55,000 people and 1,200 aircraft at about 30 different sites. At Al-Kharj, we turned a sandy stretch of desert into an operational air base in just a few weeks by working around the clock. When I first joined the Air Force, I never expected to be here in Saudi Arabia. I always thought I would end up in West Germany doing rapid runway repair, just like we practiced during Salty Demo back in '85. But I guess things are changing pretty quickly in the world these days. The Cold War is over, the wall came down, bases are closing back home, and they're even changing the uniform. Well, I need to catch my flight. Thanks for writing. Janet Price, Dirt Boy.
I am Sergeant Julio Rodriguez. I am an Air Force EOD technician in Afghanistan. I'm on my 4th deployment. I joined the Air Force after 9/11 and became part of the EOD. I love what I do. My first deployment was to Iraq in 2004. We were cleaning up sites with old Iraqi munitions, sometimes even hidden in places like schools. Near the end of my deployment, we were out doing route clearance because the opposition was laying out improvised explosive devices, IEDs, a real 4-letter word. Several of my fellow EOD brothers and sisters were wounded as a result of IEDs. During my 2nd and 3rd deployment, things were even worse and my skills were even more in demand. Like a lot of other civil engineering, I was on a deployment supporting the Army. About half of the civil engineers in Iraq were doing this type of mission. Fortunately, I came through okay, but there were some near misses. I was supposed to go back to Iraq for this deployment, but things were winding down there, and just a few weeks ago, the last of the Air Force EOD technicians left Iraq. My deployment here in Afghanistan is almost like my previous 2 in Iraq, with a lot of IEDs to worry about. My job is dangerous, and several of my fellow engineers have made the ultimate sacrifice since 9/11, but I wouldn't change places with anyone. Even though EOD has only been part of the civil engineering since 1991, I am proud to be part of the CE team in the United States Air Force. And I know I am following in the footsteps of those who came before me, people like
Captain John Riley,
Master Sergeant Mike Mason,
Major Adam Jones,
Master Sergeant Janet Price.
Building on our proud heritage, civil engineers will continue to lead the way.